Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Blog Talk Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
Into the silo.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
It gets bigger every single time you tell that story, and it kills me.
Well, it gets bigger every time you tell stories too, okay, mister? And that's just kind of the way of things. So, I didn't even hear the intro play. Were you talking about the spiders?
Yeah, we're back to the spider again. Why? Did you not hear the spider story? You were here for it.
Well, I am the spider story. I just don't know why we go into it every single week.
Well, because every single week, it's kind of funny.
Are you talking into a trash can or something? Because there's so much echo. Did Sacco put the effects on the board?
I bet you he put the effect
in my headset just to mess with me tonight.
You know what? I bet you he put the effect inside. There it is. He put the effect in our headphones just to mess with us. You know that?
And then he's not even here to take responsibility for his actions.
Yeah, I know. We're going to have to straighten this out. What?
Is he a Democrat? Ladies and gentlemen, I think we just found evidence that Sacco is, in fact, a Democrat.
Yeah,
the NSA has been in here to mess with us.
I think you're 100% right.
Because I'm getting so much feedback and echo into my headphones right now that I'm going to do what all the major musicians do and just look at that, remove my headset.
Whoa.
It's almost like taking the little earplugging thing out so you can tell how technical I am.
Dude.
Because they're getting all the feedback.
Dude, that's a big deal. I mean, that shows you are a professional.
Well, here's the thing.
And I don't care what anyone says
about it. First of all, I am so skilled and so professional that I even recognize that to be a problem. And second of all, to have the calm
and the ability under stress and under fire. I mean, really, which is for us here at a radio show, this is in fact under fire. We are taking heavy fire right now. To have the presence of mind to remove the faulty equipment or the sabotaged equipment and to set it aside while I continue to fire my mouth into this microphone and just continue on with the mission is huge.
I'm proud of you. I'm not going to lie. I am just proud of you.
It shows the level of first of all, professionalism, the level of training, the high level of integrity and willingness to fulfill the mission at all odds. As a matter of fact, I'm officially nominating this moment for the annual SHR Media Awards for performance under duress in a hot zone.
Dude, how you are. You know what? This is what I like about you is you never give up and you never surrender, and you always find a way to fight through little things like a slight echo.
I'm not French, okay? So I don't give up or surrender, and this is not a little thing. And this is here you go again, trivializing things. And now I understand what certain people in your life are talking about. So This is a major. This could have been such a huge issue for us that I'm pretty sure, I have to check out how the physics work, but we could have imploded the brand new soundboard that we had, and I pretty much just saved it.
Dude, you know what I appreciate about you?
What's that?
Is you are a go-getter. And you are just, you always know that this is a forward show. And that's what I like about you.
Not a progressive show.
Not a progressive show. A forward show. I'd like to thank everyone who's in the chat room tonight at shrmedia.com. Our good friends in there on the 14th of May, 2014.
Well, hang on a second. I have to prove something to somebody.
Okay.
This is not an archived show.
This is not an archived show.
Did that?
You know what's going to be great?
Wait, should I say the date? Iggy's mom wants us to say the date.
I just said the date.
Did you say the date?
I just
April 1st.
said it. April 1st. But here's going to be the funniest part.
2001.
Here's going to be the humor in all this.
What?
Sometime in the next couple months that this is being replayed through somebody or the download of the podcast or whatever,
right?
They're going to turn around and be like, "Hey, is this what show is this from?" And until I said the date, they're not going to know because you're like, "Oh, this is now," and we blew it. We could have ran them on forever and ever and ever. I could have told our friends in the chat room that it was live on an instant message. We missed an opportunity to screw with a lot of other people, and I take personal responsibility.
No, this is not. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that because I was about to say this was not a we screw up. I clearly perform well under stress and through adversity. You, on the other hand, missed a major opportunity. I don't know who major opportunity is, but I'm going to talk to his captain,
I appreciate
which is of a lower rank, so I don't know what good that's going to do.
But this is all my fault. I think that's what I'm learning right now. Is this is absolutely all my fault.
No. See, now here you go again. Listen, sport. This is Sacco's fault.
Okay. How is the Sacco's fault? Why? You spin this around for Sacco.
No,
I would love to
I'm
see
not
that
going to
happen.
spin it. This is factual.
Okay.
Let's go for the conviction here.
Okay.
We had major sabotage issues at his station.
Yes. That he's in charge of.
You are sitting at his station to unscrew the major sabotage issues.
Yes.
Correct?
I'm here. I'm just trying to make it right.
I had to act very, very rapidly in order to take charge and regain some form of composure in this particular situation. Okay? And with all of that going on, and you at that station caused you to miss an opportunity because you were conducting so many different. Listen, you were practically like the guy in the back seat of the F-14, right? You were working so much stuff and acquiring targets and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
Now Taxes is 100% free when you file in the TurboTax app if you didn't file with us last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just do your own taxes in the app by 2/18.
What if I have lots of forms?
All good, all 100% free.
What if I had 3 jobs?
Still 100% free.
What if I once saw Bigfoot?
That has nothing to do with taxes, so still 100% free.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Now this is Taxes. See if you qualify in the TurboTax app. Excludes TurboTax Live, must start and file in app by 2/18.
That you missed one little opportunity. And because Sacco had screwed things up and is not here and that you're in his chair at that station, overloaded by the plethora of buttons in front of you, which I must admit, I also would be tempted to push.
Right. Well,
you missed one minor opportunity, and that's all I'm saying. If you were sitting to my left, like you usually are, that would not have been a missed opportunity. We would not have reverb in our headphones. The show would be awesome, and we'd actually be talking about something 5 minutes into the show.
So I think it's safe to say
that Sacco messed up.
This is all Sacco's fault. Great.
Right.
I'm with that. I'm down with that. All right. Well, let's move on because here's the best part about this.
What's that?
I fixed it.
You fixed what?
I fixed that on the fly. We were having that horrendous sabotage in our ears, and I, Sackhead Sean the moron, as you guys like to call me when we're off the air, just hurt my feelings.
I'll tell you that to your face.
Off the air is what I'm saying. Come
okay.
on, stick with me.
I apologize.
I somehow fixed it. Now,
now hang on a second.
What?
This was in fact a team effort because I went on my tirade, which enabled you to focus
and here's
on the
fun-
job at
Here's the best part is, as soon as I knew you started a tirade, I figured I had a good 3 to 4 minutes to fix stuff because
minimum.
You normally don't shut up once you get on that point.
Right. And I've been on fire all day. You have been with me all day today.
Oh, this is the longest all day of my life. And I mean that in a loving way.
No. I appreciate that because you said it with a smile. And we drank coffee earlier, which is huge.
Well, we did drink coffee. We had a lot of fun today. It was weird. I thought I got shot earlier today. And it ended up being a bee flying in the window.
Which was crazy.
Right? We were together.
Because you didn't know it at first, but I fell on the ground.
Yeah, you thought something was going on.
Right.
So I'm not kidding. We're sitting there. I'm driving down the street, and I had a bee come in the car at what had to be 110 miles an hour. I don't know how many
your
feet
radar detector, I think, because you have that setting where it's radar and radar
Folks,
detector.
this isn't a joke. This is the second time this has happened to me, too.
And you clocked that bee, I think, at 113.
I don't know how many feet per second a bee would be when you're doing 45 miles an hour going in one direction, and it's coming at you the other way.
Flying at about 3.
Yeah. We had my buddy Carl was in the back seat. He tried to bail out. He didn't know which way to go. It was funny, but
Carl
I'm okay.
Carl usually does not know which way to go. It was almost like a sniper had a beat on us.
I'm okay though.
That's all I'm saying. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah,
it was a that
bee.
eerie feeling.
It was a bee sniper. Part is I probably could have just swatted it away and moved on, but I didn't. So, it's my own fault. It's my own fault. Moving on, we have so much to talk about tonight. And the bee story is true, folks. For anyone out there who thinks we're just having fun with each other, no. It's true. It happened.
I need to wear a GoPro, like a personal camera, 24/7.
Please.
And
please.
Just put videos up.
Yes, because people wouldn't believe. We just find ourselves in the most ridiculous situation. It really is true.
And we don't even put ourselves there.
We don't try. It
all of the
happens.
time.
It just happens.
Right?
So, as we speak, I want to talk about something, and I talked to you about this earlier this week, and it comes out of my home state, which is why I think I'm talking about it to begin with. So last week on May 1st, if you don't follow hockey, I'm not going on a hockey rant, so don't worry about it, but the Boston Bruins were playing the Montreal Canadiens in the NHL playoffs. It was in overtime, sudden death overtime, when Canadiens defenseman P.K. Subban knocked in the overtime goal to win it. As a result, and I will take a little shame in my city, there were some horrible things said about Subban. Why? I don't know. He is a black Canadian. Is it African Canadian?
Okay. Has he ever been to Africa?
Because he's actually from Canada.
Is he from Africa?
I don't know.
Has he ever been to Africa?
He could have been. I don't know.
Does he know where Africa is?
I don't know. But
you have to have some association.
I know. I have no idea how to even address. I could deal with it in this country because I'm used to it. Everyone has all their different. I'm Caucasia America because I've been to the land of Caucasia.
Right, Caucasia.
And
I think it's Bangkok, right? Isn't that Caucasia? Bangkok.
Right.
I think right.
I think
that's
where the Caucasus is.
And
I don't
Asian.
know.
I
haven't figured that out yet. You're thinking of something totally different in Thailand, I think.
That's what it is.
Right.
And
totally not even the same.
Okay.
Either way, as a result, there were many Boston fans, and I take a little bit of shame in this, who said some very racially motivated slurs.
Why do you take shame in it? It wasn't you.
Because I hate when people do that, especially over sports, especially over anything. But listen, you want to attack the man, that's fine, attack the man. But
like when you say the man, are you talking about like the man,
right?
Like the white guy,
right?
Oh, attack the
like
man.
Chico and the man,
right?
Right.
Okay.
If you want to go after him for being, he's actually a really good hockey player. He's done some diving in the past, some dirty plays in the past. If there was a dirty play involved in it, fine, go after it. Now, I understand
don't bring race into it.
Right. There's not a large contingent of non-white players in the NHL. It just isn't. That's just how it is.
Well, you know
it's
what?
like
there's
the
not,
NBA
there's
and
not
white
a
guys.
Yeah, there's not a large contingent of non-black players in the NBA.
Right. It's like the NBA and white guys. So, slurred out all these awful things, and it's just terrible. And listen, I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent, he won. And he took it, to his credit, with a lot of class. He was asked about it. The news did their thing. They tried to make a bigger issue out of it. And he said, you know what, my job's to help my team win. I just want to focus on that. Whatever people say, that's on them, not on me. I'm not going to comment.
Good for him.
Took it a very mature, great. And listen, I don't like him as a hockey player, but he seems to be a really good guy. And I've seen a few interviews with him when things like this have happened in the past in other cities, and he does take it with stride. So good for him that he has that skin and he doesn't pay attention to idiots. And I think that's huge for him as a person. But
did you talk to Rooster at all about this? Because I know he's a huge hockey fan.
Yes, he is a huge hockey fan. I haven't had the opportunity.
I would guess that he would take a very similar approach to you. You're taking a little more personal because you are from Boston.
I am from Boston, and it just aggravates me that either way. So on all the Twitter feeds that were going out, there were 2 students, and they haven't been named as of yet, and because they're juveniles, from Whittier Regional Technical High School in Haverhill, Massachusetts.
What's a technical high school?
Vocational.
Is it technically a high school?
Well, it's actually one of my former competitive schools, if you will.
Okay.
I went to the Voc in Wakefield, and this is the Voc in Haverhill, essentially. It's a vocational school. You learn trades. The vocational schools in Massachusetts.
You learn trades, like Indian, like firewater for like pelts or what?
Can I just go on with my story? It's a trade school. You learn HVAC, carpentry, anything from drafting and design. Why am I explaining?
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Trade school that has nothing to do with the story. Let's move on. Knucklehead. I mean, really. Either way. So it's a public school, though. It is not a privately funded school. Yes, you have to be selected to go. You have to put your admissions in. You have to have a grade point average, et cetera, to get in. However, it is not a privately funded school. It's a completely public funded school. These 2 young men, idiots, or just following along or thinking they were cool. It's that 14-year-old, I'm going to do this because it's going to get a reaction thing maybe. I don't know them. I'm not going to speak for them. Either way, they said a couple horrible things that were racially charged on Twitter. As a result, the Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School suspended the 2 of them for a week.
Well, they shouldn't have been posting those things while they were at school.
No, they were. It was at night at home.
Yeah, no, but if they're posting things through the school Twitter account,
it's their personal Twitter.
Yeah, but if they're doing it when they're supposed to be in school and they're
it was at night they were at home. It was at night they were at home.
Well, yeah, but if it's because of a game they watched while they were at school and it was their homework assignment to tweet about it.
No, this was just their own personal Twitter.
So why'd they get suspended?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. According to Whittier's superintendent, William DeRosa, the 2 students suspended for a week must attend a readmission meeting on Monday before they are allowed back. As a school district, he says, we will not tolerate any kind of behavior like this. DeRosa went on to say, we have a zero tolerance policy for this kind of thing, which is why we took such swift action.
Okay, well, that's fine. They can have a zero tolerance policy at school or school events. Mm-hmm. But if they're at home, do they not have a First Amendment right to listen, whether you agree with what they said or not, do they not have a right to have their opinion or to say that? It's their personal Twitter account.
Right.
They're at home. Mm-hmm. This is a discipline issue for the parents.
It absolutely is.
This is not a discipline issue for the state.
Right. And this isn't even the state.
What are the parents?
This is a school district
acting
on their own.
When I say the state, I mean
right. I understand what you're saying, but still.
So why? What do the parents have to say about this?
But I haven't seen anything from the parents. And now I don't know if the parents. I've tried to follow up.
I would be all over the place.
I would go nuts.
First of all, I would go sideways on my kid.
Yeah,
for posting anything as ridiculous or
ignorant
or
ignorant
or anything like that. However, I would then go after the school for stepping way out of line and taking action against my child for something that is a disciplinary issue unrelated to school.
Yes.
So just because the school does not like their point of view or their opinion or what they expressed, they're going to take action like this?
Well,
what if those students said hateful, mean, nasty things about Christian heterosexual white males?
Well, let's take it a step further.
Well, hang on a second. What would happen?
Oh, it would same thing.
Oh, yeah, they'd suspend them right, for saying something about Christian heterosexual white males.
All right, maybe not. And, you know, I would like to go through – they didn't name these kids, so I can't find the Twitter feeds, and I've tried to look for it. I actually did a lot of research this week trying to narrow this down because I would like to see what else is in their Twitter feed in the past. Anything at all violent, anything – even if it's not true, it doesn't matter. You can't prove that these statements were really what they meant versus just –
But it doesn't matter.
Much.
These are statements that are made on their personal time, at home, not related to a school activity,
right?
And the school should have absolutely nothing to say about it. I think these students should form at this school a club.
Mm-hmm.
The White Christian Heterosexual
How about the Free Speech Club?
Hang on a second. Male Students Organization Association.
Hold on, I gotta see if there's a good acronym for that.
Witcham SOA.
Witcham
SOA. White Christian Heterosexual
SOA.
Male Students Organization Association. It's a little redundant, but I'm okay with that.
How about this? Why don't we – well, okay, we'll go with it. I'm just trying to think because
what would happen, do you think?
Oh, it would be called racist. They'd be called homophobic.
Why?
They'd be called
they have
anti-Muslim.
There are several campuses that have, like the student associations.
Right. Hey, yeah. No, and that's fine. I have no problem with them having associations.
What if they called it the Cracker Club? And they got together and they ate like saltines.
First of all, where I come from,
Ritz's.
it would be called the Cracker Club.
Right.
Cracker Club. That would be a really or
like you take crackers and give your opinion about it. Right.
Right. It could be like a instead of an elective, you can go to the Cracker Connoisseur Club.
Right.
And talk about that. I just
put
wonder,
like zany designs on it. Like that's one crazy cracker. You do all kinds of little things like that.
At what point, though, like you said, it's publicly funded. Listen, if this was a totally private school,
even so.
But if this is a private school, the parents pay, and they sign off saying, "Hey, as a result."
Exactly.
That's
right.
fine. I understand that. You enter into that agreement. It's a business contract.
It is a contract, yes.
Ken had a great idea for a school day. Take your local Klansmen to school day. I think that would be a fun one. Can you imagine? I just flash back forget it. Because
you flash back?
All I can think of, no, I flash back to Blazing Saddles. And I just think of that whole scene, and we play the audio when Ken comes on the show, when they're dressed up like Klansmen, and you do something like that, like take your Klansmen to school. When they absolutely flip out and start ripping off hoods, you can just have everyone not even be white under the hoods, like just to mess with people. That would just be outstanding. No, this is a public school, and it as we talked about with Obamacare and a lot of other things, especially when it comes to constitutionality of stuff, the ways these local sometimes publicly funded, not necessarily government, but government agencies or agencies that receive public funding, add these rules that are a sidestep to law and a sidestep to the Constitution, and then enforce them. Listen, I think they said they were sophomores or juniors. Doesn't matter. They now will have the suspension with them if they try to apply to a college or anything. And then if the college asks for the transcripts and as to why they're suspended, it's for these tweets. And like I said, we all do stupid things at 14. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not defending their actions. But you do immature things at an immature age. Whether you believe it or you don't believe it.
If you're a boy.
Yeah, boys do even I wish I had all the immature, stupid things I did at a young age on video. I could make a fortune and make Jackass look like a bunch of do-nothings. But this will now carry them. And it could go further later in their life. Now we live in the age of technology and all this other stuff. I know friends who've lost jobs for something that they put on Facebook 3 years ago and that they were just not even chosen for. And that they'll tell them, oh, well, when you signed up, you got the Facebook pass thing. We went in and we found X, Y, and Z. Well, wait a minute. first of all, you may not understand the context of what it said, but at the end of the day, you're signing that piece of paper saying, yeah, you can look into my history, you can have my account information, whatever. These kids, it's a public school. It's no different than the one down the street. At some point, somebody has to have, and I think it was Mary in the chat room said, hey, you know what? We still have to have we have to start filing lawsuits about this, about these local government agents. Because if you blow it up, this is the same thing that the EPA does with their rules that aren't laws, but they can enforce them with regulations that carry prison terms, even though they're not necessarily laws, or fines or something like that. This is just a small-scale structure of that.
Of course. Except
this is a stifling of their first, however awful it was, amendment right.
Yes.
And it's a severe issue. And like you said, if I was the parents, I'd be losing it on this. 347-205-9399. We're still using that phone number because, well, it's free right now, and I'm cheap.
You are cheap.
So if you want to chime in on this.
You wanted to drink wine, and you brought over that box.
What? Yeah.
No, I'm not judging you.
Dude, it fell off a truck, all right? Stop getting on me for that.
Dude, I'm not even getting on you about this. I'm just saying.
And I had to wrestle it away from a homeless guy. But that's not the point. I won, and he only got like 2 sips out of it.
The guy was 96 years old. He didn't have a liver.
And he actually wasn't homeless. I was in his house. But that's not the point. This happens in liberal Massachusetts where there's not a strong conservative base, and there's not a conservative leader who can step up. And this is what drives me nuts. And you can say, well, this isn't a liberal conservative thing. This is a Constitution thing. Well, unfortunately, a lot of liberals let stuff like this go by, and liberal leaders in state government. And because one person, or let me get even worse, people were offended on behalf of one person who he didn't even care. Mary, to answer your question, it was a 5, I don't say liters, so it was like 3.5 gallons. I'm not Canadian. A size wine box. People were offended on behalf of this gentleman, and I will call him a gentleman because I have no reason to say otherwise, who's this hockey player. And he doesn't even seem to care. And you know what? It may bother him a little inside him. I can't imagine that it doesn't, but I can't imagine having it happen to me on a media basis like this, where everybody's watching and you're on the big screen. I've definitely.
Has the school district come down and said anything that yes, this is in the bylaws, or this is in where student activity outside of school hours with a personal account, with a personal anything, they are able to do
even if
this?
it does, and I haven't read it. I have not read it. And I looked at some policies today. I may not have gotten to it. They have a student handbook that's weird. It's funny how what the country started with the Constitution on just a couple pieces of paper. But to go to high school, there's a student handbook that's the size of a law book. But it shouldn't matter. And that's my point. As idiotic as it is, it should not matter what you do outside of school. Now, if they threatened to kill him or if they did something like that, yeah, that's different because now you can get into criminality and all that stuff. I totally understand that. But this kind of goes back a little bit to what happened with the Clippers and that pinhead, the owner of the Clippers, for saying something stupid, and then he went on CNN and tried to recant it and then insulted Magic Johnson again because he's really a winner. But idiots have the right to free speech too, I guess is my point, as much as sometimes we don't like what they have to say. You have to accept the fact that they have that right. And we can't start or continue, I should say, in this country to pick and choose which freedom of speech or religion can be stifled and which can be chosen. Now, we can, as a public, condemn certain speech and condemn certain behavior.
Right.
That's non-criminal and is protected by the Constitution. And I always think of the Westboro Baptist Church when it comes to protesting funerals. You know what? What people did for that when they started surrounding, and you had all the vets that were riding, and you had all those people that would come out and form that line and hold them back, that's the response.
Okay.
And amazingly for that, which kills me, is the federal government pretty much came out, and I think it was Eric Holder, said there's nothing I can do to prosecute them for protesting these funerals. They can't create a disturbance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they will protect that speech, but nobody will protect this speech.
Well, here's the thing.
And I'm not saying.
Do we know? we know in this case that the students' activities had nothing to do with the schools. Are they part of a sports team? Are they part of? And it doesn't matter. In New Jersey, and you're talking this happened in Massachusetts.
Right.
In New Jersey, there was a court ruling that came down that dictated that the schools had to show some form of nexus to how this out-of-school activity affected in-school activity or in-school conditions. And if in-school conditions are going to be affected, then a school could make a rule governing outside of school activities. So unless the school district is saying, well, based upon the extreme inflammatory nature of these comments and the fact that other students read these comments, it's causing or it has caused a potential conflict based on race in our school walls. Therefore, hang on.
I understand that.
Look, you got the bladed
no,
hand up.
I understand that.
Now there's a problem. But what you're saying is it didn't sound like they even gave it an opportunity.
It was like the next day.
Right. So what is the school's position? And it doesn't sound like they said this in the statement, but I haven't read the story. Is the school's position, hey, their comments were so inflammatory, we are worried about those comments and their views coming in and causing a problem on campus with other students potentially.
DeRosa said Monday's scheduled readmission meeting, school administrators will review the offense of the two students and be looking for reassurance that they will not repeat the actions that got them into trouble.
What offense?
That's what I'm trying to find out. Their offensive language is what they're judging. And we're looking, hopefully, for a level of remorse. Okay, I can understand. Listen, I can understand if the parents called the school and said, hey, you know what? My kid said this horrible thing. I don't know.
I want the ACLU to step up and take this case.
Yes. If the parents went to the school and said, hey, can you help us? Can we sit down with maybe a school psychologist or something? Or can my kids come to school? I want to punish them.
I would not let
No, I understand that. But if the parents initiated that,
okay,
I understand that.
Okay.
I can understand that. Or if the parents called the school and said, hey, you know what? My kids need to be punished for this horrible language. So they're going to be at school on their days off, Saturday and Sunday, cleaning the school. I can understand that. It's still not school involvement, but, it's something. School has no right, in my opinion, and even I don't care what they have in their little – you can't have laws that prevent the rights of the Constitution. Am I correct?
Right.
So DeRosa did go on, and I'm going to keep reading. They did post the information from home, and I know we're up against a break. I apologize. They did post the information from home, and to the best of my knowledge, they aren't friends, and it appears that they did this independently following the Bruins game the other night. The two students don't even know each other. Okay, so there's not like a grand conspiracy. Okay. The only thing that I can say is that we interpret their comments as racist comments, so we interpret them, and when they were interviewed, they said it had to do with Saban. So they didn't even identify him as the individual that they were kind of targeting the comments towards.
Yeah, look, we agree that racism is bad.
Right.
Okay,
right.
We agree. However, if somebody is a racist, they have a right to be a racist.
As awful as it is.
As awful as it is, they have a right to be a racist. If you're not a racist, you have a right not to be a racist. Being a racist is a particular point of view. And while I don't agree with it, you don't agree with it, this show does not condone that point of view at all. Any kind of racism.
At all.
But if you are that person that is a racist, then you have a right to be a racist.
Mm-hmm.
You do. You have a right under the First Amendment.
Just like you have a right to be about anything else.
And it's not the government's job or the school's job to regulate that outside of school. I can understand regulating that inside
Absolutely.
of the school. Absolutely. And inside of the workplace, I get it. But you can't regulate thought outside of the school grounds, outside of actions with absolutely no nexus to it. We're up against a break, my friend.
We are 347-205-9399. We're going to be back here in 3 minutes here on the Sack Kids Radio Show.
Sack Kids Radio.
Sack Kids. Sack Kids.
Radio.
Sack Kids. Sack Kids.
Radio.
Reactionary Speak radio program.
Introduce a little anarchy. Upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos. Oh, and you know the thing about chaos? It's beer.
Friday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, here on BTR.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Hello, I'm Paul, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is my professor, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the separation of church and state.
America's founders believed in a separation of church and state, in that the country was not to have an official religion or an official sect. But that did not mean that government was to be hostile to religion, or even indifferent to religion, as many today argue. In fact, America's founding document, the Declaration of Independence, includes both a reference to God as the author of the laws of nature and a confident assertion that human beings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Far from being hostile or indifferent to religion, America's founders understood the theology of the Declaration to be an essential part of the education of citizens.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hi, this is Rooster from Outcry Radio. Catch me here on Blog Talk Radio every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or follow my blog at conservativeoutcry.net. Now, back to the Sackheads.
347-205-9399 here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. You have kind of a cool story.
I do, and it kind of plays off the whole high school student thing. So did you hear what happened yesterday in Charleston, West Virginia?
Charleston, West Virginia.
I know you did that for hypothetical questions. So
okay, good, because I was wondering how you were going to make that happen. I was like, really? I've heard a lot. Yeah, I always get the live news feed from the Charleston, West Virginia Gazette.
I kind of heard about this. So there's a young lady, she's 17 years old, by the name of Sarah Blair.
Mm-hmm.
And her name is spelled S-A-I-R-A, Blair. And she goes to high school. She's a high school senior. She will be 18 years old, I believe, in July. And I actually found this story on the Huffington Post, of all places, into the politics section. And she just beat an incumbent, a current state legislative member, delegate, Larry Crump, who's a Republican.
All right, first of all, let's do 10 minutes on his last name. But go on.
Ready? Ready, go.
So she beat the crump out of him?
I don't think. I think he crumped under the pressure and he just couldn't handle it.
I wonder if he crumped his pants when he found out. I mean, really.
So there was in the Republican primary, she ran against him, and the vote was 872 to 728. And her father, Craig Blair, is a state senator in West Virginia. But still, the fact that a 17-year-old, and I tried to find her campaign page, and I couldn't. Like, the most I found was a Facebook page. And the fact that she beat an incumbent, first of all, is outstanding. And I actually have her platform here. So she's actually going against a Democratic candidate in November, Lane Deal, I don't know if he's a big deal or not. We can talk a little bit more about it. Ready? Let's do his last name too. But she has a pledge to voters that she actually has posted up as one of her things. I'd like to read it because I'm very impressed. As a 17-year-old, she does have plans to go to college. However, she will suspend those because of the way the legislative session runs. So she'd suspend her first semester or whatnot. But her pledge is, as a candidate for House of Delegates, District 5-9, I pledge to work alongside fellow Eastern Panhandle legislators to make sure that our issues receive attention and focus from Charleston. Okay. I pledge that I will not embarrass the Eastern Panhandle by introducing legislation that secedes the Eastern Panhandle from the rest of the state, which renders one ineffective. Ooh, I don't know if I like that pledge. I pledge to never use robocalls or telemarketing. Regardless of whether or not I'm elected, I will never interrupt someone's day in that way. It's also unnecessary because I will keep myself available to the public. Interesting. I pledge to be open with the public and fully disclose all of my political activities. I pledge to never use legislative vanity license plates. I'm interested in performing the service to the best of my abilities, not the perks associated with it. I pledge to promote and support conservative fiscal policy for state government.
Wow.
17 years old.
That's impressive.
It gets even more impressive. I pledge to protect and support the Constitution of the state of West Virginia as well as the Constitution of the United States of America.
Wow.
So she understands what those are,
or
at least she knows about them. I pledge to protect and maintain the natural rights of West Virginians. So now she's talking about
natural rights,
natural law, natural rights.
That's impressive.
I'm very impressed. I pledge to defend the sovereignty of the state of West Virginia by rejecting any attempt of the federal government to overstep its authority. I pledge to report to my constituency on a regular basis with my progress and the reasons behind my votes. And finally, I pledge to vote on issues that benefit the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia and to refrain from voting on issues in which I may personally gain. So I'm very impressed with her pledges. Most of them are strike a very special chord with me, particularly they're talking about the natural rights of West Virginia. It's talking about, obviously, referring to states' rights in there in the Constitution. So 17 years old, sounds like a very conservative, really sounds, although she doesn't say it, based upon some of the things she's saying in here. She is pro-life in her platform, but she almost sounds Tea Party.
I was going to say, she does sound a little Tea Party.
Almost, right? She's pro-life, pro-family, pro-marriage, and pro-jobs.
Wow.
That's how she describes herself. And
this gives me hope. And listen, I don't know if she's going to win. I mean, amazingly, she's so confident in a good way. She has her email up. If you go to her Facebook page, it's facebook.com/electblair, ELECTBLAIR. She has 179 likes. I wonder if any of the Sackheads listeners will just go to her page and like it. We may like that because I applaud what she's doing. I applaud that she's, young. I think you did cover that she will be old enough for the election to be elected.
Yep. She will be of legal age, 18. And it will also make her the youngest delegate in the state in history. The one before that was 20 years old, and it was in the 70s.
Wow. But it's just impressive. And for her to come out, and I'm wonder if she's in a very conservative part of West Virginia, but for her to come out on that platform with those pledges, and she seems like a bright young gal. She seems like she knows what she's doing, or at least wants to know what she's doing. And you know what? It gives me hope to the future. It gives me hope that some young people are actually paying attention, and they understand that you don't have to follow the status quo, and you don't have to drink that liberal Kool-Aid because you're under the age of 35 and you make less than X amount of dollars or whatever. I mean, she's in high school. She's going to be going to college. That's huge. That's huge to me. So it does give me hope. She has their pledge on there. I mean, actually, her Facebook page is pretty good. She's got a lot of support on there, and I hope people continue to support her. But for young people going up, I think she's a role model, at least for her belief in the Constitution, her belief in her values, her belief in saying her values, which is a big deal nowadays because a lot of kids are embarrassed when they grow up in conservative values. All those things are wonderful, wonderful things, and I applaud her wholeheartedly. I truly do.
So the person she's going against, and Lane Deal or Dial, again, Layne, it's a female.
Okay.
So name Lane. I say that because I pulled up the photograph and I was actually shocked because I know a couple men named Lane. But one of her mottos is, and I think it struck me as funny, not because it's a Democrat, but just because it did, but it's putting people first. And the reason I thought that was funny is I thought about, do you remember the movie Fred Claus?
Yes.
Where Vince Vaughn goes out and he's trying to collect money and he makes up some bogus charity and it's people helping people or something like that. So I read putting people first, and I immediately went to that scene in my head. People helping people. You go ahead, people.
People helping people.
That struck me as funny. So Miss Dial, she's an attorney, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not really, but she.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, she's an attorney. She's in the Rotary Club, which is great. She's committed to community involvement, which is good. She says that she wants to, She says that she wants to bring bipartisanship and cooperation in there, blah, blah, blah. Okay. She does have some clicks on her page, join the movement. I don't know. That sounds a bit. What movement are we joining?
I don't know.
Putting.
Do you have to eat a lot of bran if you're part of that club?
Well,
I don't know.
Second. Putting people's agenda forward, people helping people. It just sounds that way to me. Am I wrong? So, anyway, we did send a message out to Miss Blair. See if she'll respond. I'd love to interview her.
I would love to.
I'd love to have her on the show and do an interview.
Week, or we'll try.
We'll try. I sent out an email to her. We'll see if she replies. So stay tuned for that, folks. We're going to try and get her on an interview. I think she'd be just such an interesting young lady to speak with.
Well, there's somebody. Our awesome friend is on hold, and I want to get their opinion on it because this is his neck of the woods. He's very, very versed in this politics out here. Especially the local. I mean, he's versed in every ounce of politics on the face of the planet. That's the amazing part about him. And if it sounds like I might be stalling a little bit to find his intro, that's not even true because I wouldn't do something like that.
Hey, boys, look what I got here. Hey, where are the white women at? Ain't nobody got time for that.
Never gets old. Ken, the Exceptional Conservative Show. Ken? Oh.
Good job, Sean. You nailed that one.
Good evening,
wow, that was great.
Taco.
Ken, I want to apologize
to you. The National Public Radio branch of Washington, D.C. I am immensely enjoying the comedic expressions on your program this evening.
Ken, I want to apologize to you. Ken,
yes.
I need to apologize to you that my white friend brought you in and kept you muted, and my guess is it's based on race.
No. I'm hurt because I wasn't invited to the hockey conversation, apparently. Well, because the Canadians don't know nothing about no hockey.
Because, Ken, you know what? I think everyone who listens to us and listens to your show knows where you stand on that. If you want to comment on it, we would love to have your comment on it. But I have a feeling you're going to say something along the lines of...
Don't put words in this man's mouth.
All right, fine.
He's an educated man, Sean. Why do you constantly belittle
him? All right,
him?
I'll hit the mute button. Go ahead, you two talk.
Oh, God. Ken, the grown-ups can have a conversation.
I'm looking forward to a very wonderful conversation on it. You know, Sarah Blair is a hot babe.
She is for a young lady.
For her. Yeah, she is. I hope she takes me to her prom.
Well, you know, if she's trying to pull conservative votes in that area, you would be probably a good person to bring to that prom.
I think so. You know, you're reaching across generations. It's a racial thing. You know,
Sometimes
you're trying
three generations at once.
Exactly.
Think of everything you get in that dragnet.
I'm older than her 15-year-old dog. Come on, this is
You know what? She'd actually steal some liberal votes too, just because people would see the picture.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
They'd know you'd have to be a plant. I mean, the first question would be how much they paying you. That's what everyone on the left would say. How much did this actor get paid? Who is he? Where is he from? Blah 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 blah.
Is it Denzel Washington? Did he put on some kind of makeup or disguise? Is it Usher? Who is this?
Who is it?
He
you know
dances like Usher, but complains like Bill Cosby. There you go.
Hey, you know what? I think we just caught your new show tagline there, Ken.
I love it. Exceptional conservative. He dances like Usher, but
complains like Cosby.
I know a website that's going up on SHRmedia.com.
Yeah, I seriously, I know a new site for SHR. This will be a good one.
Wait a minute. This is my thing. The Donald. Can I just momentarily? Because you know you have to raise it every time you go into a room where there's white people. You have to bring up the name Donald Sterling. So here I am. But you know the funny thing is that the NAACP got paid to give him a Lifetime Achievement Award, and I'm thinking to myself, shouldn't I pay the Klan to give me a Lifetime Achievement Award?
Can we try that? Can we try that?
I think we should.
I think that would be outstanding. I think that's a good idea. Let's have Sacco work on that. I'll have him because I'm sure they'd love to talk to a hairy Armenian about this. So let's have Sacco reach out, or maybe we'll just fly him somewhere and have a meeting and see how well that goes.
Like in the woods.
Like.
Right, because I mean, Sacco doesn't want to be seen with a bunch of Klan folk, right? So it has to be someplace secret, like out in a barn, out on several thousand acres, or in a well or something like that.
No, well, you know, I hate to say it, but it's the equivalent. Him getting that award is almost like the equivalent of the president getting the Nobel Peace Prize when he blows everything up with drones. I mean, it really is as insane as that, is it not? Oh, and before he actually did anything as president, he just got the award. But that's
Sean, you give him too much credit. He had just put the pillow on the bed and had already gotten the Nobel Peace Prize.
I know.
Come on now.
I wish. You want to talk about the everyone wins generation and just showing up, you get a trophy. I mean, this is like 3-year-old youth soccer where there's no scorecard kept. Just walk in, here you go, you're the Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Pass finger painting. Congratulations.
This is like your mom showing up at the Playboy Mansion and getting the cover. You know what I'm saying?
It's like your mom showing up at the Playboy Mansion, Ken. What are you talking about my mom for? Your mom shows up there.
Your mama's so bunny. So Ken, I do.
Your mama is so fat.
Ken's talking about mamas now. This is ridiculous.
Your mama is so fat she actually eats Albert in a can. There you go.
So you brought it up. I didn't because I'm not like that. But you brought up the elephant in the room. What are your thoughts on the whole 2 kids getting suspended for it?
Sarah Blair.
No, he said he thought he was going to be brought in for it. He kind of threw the jab out there. So I don't want to be accused of silencing our good friend
I didn't
Ken.
know he called in during that segment.
No, he didn't.
Oh, he didn't. So it's not our fault. Okay, I just want to. It's not always
Normally
the white
you
guy's
like to
fault.
make this my fault. I'm
Nope,
just saying.
It's not always the white person's fault. That's all I'm saying. It's not always the white person's fault.
Hey, you know what, Ken? I'd love to get your opinion on this, but we're out of time. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Maybe I should break out a watermelon as I'm expressing my opinion.
Yo, man, I ain't falling for no banana in the tailpipe.
Do you seriously have some watermelon? Because I would love a piece.
Well, actually, I really am proud of the young men for standing up for their First Amendment right. I wish I was Donald Sterling's attorney, because I would love to see the daylight out of the NBA. Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jackson. Oh no, he's not here anymore. Magic Johnson.
Well, you know, first of all, I think Michael Jackson was white. Was he not?
At the end of his life, yes.
Okay, good. Well, you know, and we talked about this too, and I haven't read the owner's rules as far as the NBA, and I think I think we talked about this on Rooster Show a little bit last week when I said, you know, I think the NBA has certain rules that they essentially, even though you own the rights to the teams and everything, you essentially, if the NBA says no, which is why they need to get the NBA's approval to move a team, change a logo, do just about anything, then they own that product and they can bounce it. I agree that there should be some sort of litigation at least started, but Sterling will never do that right now because he is a broken and beaten man. He's probably just going to take all of his millions out of this country and go to a country where nobody knows or cares about him and live like a king on a beach, so we showed him. But it does kind of go hand in hand, and the same thing as the Sterling thing. Even though it's nice to see it happening to just young kids having their speech tarnished or, if you will, oppressed.
I'm going to sadly have to disagree with you regarding Donald Sterling. And I wish I was Donald Sterling's attorney, because I would take the NBA for every dime that it was worth. I would sue every single governor who voted against me being in the NBA for at least $4 or $5 billion apiece, and we'll settle the score somewhere around $1 billion. But their bylaws, if there was a moral contract in their bylaws that specifically stated that if by speech a owner could be banned for life, I'm quite certain it would be about 32 of them standing in line right now for some of the things that they've said over the years, and that's including Mark Cuban.
But here's the difference.
Yeah.
Here's the difference with that, Ken, is the mainstream media didn't decide to make a patsy out of him. Or not a patsy, but the devil, if you will. You know, they like Cuban because he's a young, energetic guy. You know, there are other people. This guy, for whatever reason, he's just they don't like the way he looks. They didn't
because he's light-skinned?
Well, he's pale. I mean, he's like me. You can hold him up to a light if you want to do an X-ray on him.
If he was a darker Jew, this would be better?
No. But
if he was a darker African, this may be better.
Right. They saw. They saw an
if he did a video where he said the N-word 60 times, would that make it better?
What I'm saying is
he does have the right to free speech.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying he didn't have the right to say it. I'm not even saying he has a lawsuit. I'm telling you where they, what angle they went at, right, wrong. You know what I mean? However, where I'm kind of going with that is the mainstream media, and I really think this is kind of like the anti-Bundy thing. Like, there was too much Bundy focus, and it was starting to go away, and they needed that next evil white guy to throw up and talk about how evil, and they pulled out Sterling. And never mind the fact that his girlfriend committed a crime and recorded him without his. We can get into all of that stuff.
And I was going to say, here's my concern with this: you have a private conversation between two people.
Yes.
That comes out, and this person in his private conversation, look, the guy may be a pig. I don't agree with what he said, okay, and I know you don't either, and Ken, I know, I'm sure doesn't, but he I don't know, maybe Ken does. I don't know.
You never know with Ken. He has a tendency sometimes.
You never know. But he said, but
Shirley, baby, calm down. Hey, don't use such fantasy on television, man.
the man said some horrible things.
Yes.
But it was in the course of a private conversation, in private, without the nexus to the NBA or anything else. So he has the right to say, almost like the kids, to say whatever the hell he wants to say.
And I would
and so how is he losing a business, something that he owns, for exercising, again, his constitutional right to free speech, whether we agree with that speech or not?
I understand that. I was merely playing devil's advocate as far as the angle that they took, and why they went that route, because it was the easiest way out. And essentially I think what you would have seen it, and they would have gone to the next step, where they would have turned around and suspended the Clippers for the remainder of the year if he didn't step down or if they didn't come to a resolution like that. It would have went ridiculous. But I would like to, if possible, just like with what happened with the Bundy tape, where you saw that 30 seconds of, oh my goodness, this was horrible, and then all of a sudden you play the whole tape, and I know for me it was Iggy that got that to me right away as soon as the whole tape came out, and I appreciate that. I want to see the whole conversation, and I want to see what was said before and after, and I want to see if maybe he was baited somehow, or.
But does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
Well, then why?
Well, it doesn't matter as far as him losing his business. But this is one of those things where I want to see if once again somebody in mainstream media had that whole TMZ or whatever had the whole tape, and they clipped out 25, 30 seconds of it to demonize a man and destroy him.
But that's my point. It doesn't matter what's clipped out. The man has a right to say whatever the hell he wants to say.
I understand that, just like we do here every week.
Absolutely.
But I want to see if it was another case of mainstream media making somebody guilty to the public without releasing the proper information.
Yeah, well, look, the left will clip out half of us.
Actually, guys, if you all have been listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show on SHR Media, we played the entire 10-minute reel of conversation that TMZ actually produced. And it was vulgar, it was offensive, and it was his opinion versus the provocation of Miss V, who was probably counting out $100 bills on the bed while she was taping. Let it rain, baby.
Yeah, it's weird. He was such a jerk, but she had no problem with his money. That's just bizarre to me.
That's it. But, that's it. Really? That's the whole story.
Yes.
Lyndon Baines Johnson had it right when he said, let's sign the gosh darn 1964 piece of legislation, and these Negroes, he said, he used a different term, will be Democrats for life. People know when you throw the ire or race out there are certain African Americans who have been pinching from the pump of racial unrest for shakedowns for an eternity. Booker T. Washington spoke of it. Frederick Douglass spoke of it. It's been going on for over 2 centuries now. So that's always going to be here because people prime that particular pump and they get paid. The whole thing really is, this story is about a whole lot of whores in the great state of California. Whether it's the whore, Nick V.
Do you think she's going to write a book? Is it going to be called, like The Racist, the Benjamins, and the Postivac?
Not trying to fuel the fire of the conservative war on women, but I don't think that's what she does for a living.
No. I don't think so either. And we're up against the break, and I want you to hang on to the other side of the break, Ken. But there's a great Bill Burr, the stand-up comedian, and he's a liberal, but he does this whole great thing about how many great men are going to be ruined by gold-digging whores. And he does this whole 10-minute speech on how many powerful men have done something so stupid but they're in such a position of power that they can't even imagine that it's stupid. They use this Schwarzenegger. He's like, here's a guy who could barely speak English. He was one of the biggest actors of all time, and then he became governor of California. How can you tell him he can't sleep with his maid? Like, the guy's been in the zone for 35 years. He's not making a bad mistake, in his opinion. He's just doing what he does. Like, it's really amazing to me, and he says that. How many gold-digging whores are going to ruin great men in this country? Hey, we're going to take our break then, and we're going to keep you on. And I know Golf, our good friend Golf Dogs called in, and I'm going to take him on the other side of the break with you, and I'll stay silent so it's not like a 25-way conversation, because our good friend Golf hasn't called in a super long time. 347-205-9399 is the phone number here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Reactionary Speak radio program.
Introduce a little anarchy. Upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos. Oh, and you know the thing about chaos? It's beer.
Friday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, here on BTR.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberty, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Hello, I'm Paul, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is my professor, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the separation of church and state.
America's founders believed in a separation of church and state, in that the country was not to have an official religion or an official sect. But that did not mean that government was to be hostile to religion, or even indifferent to religion, as many today argue. In fact, America's founding document, the Declaration of Independence, includes both a reference to God as the author of the laws of nature and a confident assertion that human beings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Far from being hostile or indifferent to religion, America's founders understood the theology of the Declaration to be an essential part of the education of citizens.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hi, this is Rooster from Outcry Radio. Catch me here on Blog Talk Radio every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or follow my blog at conservativeoutcry.net. Now, back to the Sackheads.
Thank you, Rooster. 347-205-9399, live from the Sackhead Shop this evening. This is the Sackheads Radio Show. I'm going to take a step back because our good friend Golf's on the phone, and when you get 4 or 5 people talking, it's always confusing. We have the talking stick here inside the studio, but we don't have that over the phone. Our good friend, the exceptional conservative Ken, is on the phone with us and as well, so that's always nice. And Golf, you are now live with the Sackheads as well. How are you this evening?
Hi, how you doing, Sean, Clint, Ken? Oh,
Sir,
my
how
goodness,
are you?
Ken. I'm doing
How
great.
you doing?
Hey, y'all are really messing up. I mean, right now, David Letterman is interviewing Barbara Walters on TV, and you're missing it. Of course, I am too, but I got it muted so I can see it going on over there. Bunch of idiot talking. But I got to say, Ken, you are spot on. Dude, you are spot on. I would love to, I wish I was an attorney, I would be all over this thing. about the NBA and Sterling. I mean, my God, think about this. Think about the people you could charge, you could accuse, and go after them. I mean, this is going to be fun. And this guy's not stupid, although he makes stupid comments, but he's not a public speaker. Think about this. I mean, every time they interview him, and the media they just love to bait him into something and to ask him questions, and that's what they've been doing. And every time he opens his mouth, he makes stupid comments. You think he's fixing to bail himself out. He digs a deeper hole. And the guy, he's not a public speaker. Real obvious from what we've seen here lately. But I agree with Ken. I think this guy, an attorney would just love it. Would love it because I look at it from the freedom of speech, point of view. The guy, this stuff was taken from a personal conversation. This was not even made. It was supposed to be made public. He wasn't talking out in public. Whenever the original accusations came out, this is something that he made in private. And like Ken said, and she was just sitting there on the bed counting out the money. And I believe that. I really believe that's what's going on. Now, come on, Ken, talk to me about it.
Hey, listen, I agree. Thank you, Ron. I really appreciate your support and encouragement here. And the bottom line is this. If there was a moral contract, and people in USA Today and many other papers are referring back to a series of moral contracts that was signed by all of the owners, and Article 13A of one of those contracts indicates that it's a catch-all type of violation. If there's adverse effects by something you say, then there is a remedy. The remedies are not spelled out, first and foremost, in the NBA Constitution. Number one.
Right.
So quite frankly, just right there is your home run pitch, right there over the park. Number two, the NBA absconded the Constitution and gave powers to Silver that he doesn't possess according to the Constitution. He doesn't have the power to ban an owner for life. So what's that all about? Number three, he fined him $2.5 million. According to the NBA Constitution, the most that an owner can be fined is $1 million. So all this stuff, when you look at it, and you can go throughout that Constitution and see a series of errors that, quite frankly, the only reason why an owner could ever be banned under the NBA Constitution is if he conducted himself in a manner that was adverse to the league.
Ken?
Mind you have players who bring guns to the locker room.
Ken, are you there?
Yes.
Golf there?
Nope, looks like we lost Ken in golf. The line went dead, and I apologize for that. I'm sorry. I'm going to take the abuse for this. I know I am so going to take the abuse for this. I apologize for that. I have no idea why the line went dead, but the line went dead, and I'm going to see in a second if I can bring them back.
What did you do?
Well, here they come. Ken, keep going. Sorry about that. Somehow we lost you, but go ahead.
I was just as summing all of that up. The NBA Constitution does not support Silver having the power to do what he did, or condemning Sterling for the things that he said, or separating a man from his property because he is protected by the First Amendment. Simply put, I wish I were the attorney here, because I swear to God I'd be making billions of dollars. I'd never have to work another day in my life.
I agree, Ken. I agree. I think if he really wants to pursue this, and he don't have to, the man has the money. He could walk away if he wanted to. But I would take offense at somebody telling me you have to sell your team and you need to walk away. And everything they're doing is unconstitutional by their own guidelines. What Ken just spelled it out for you. This guy, I think he could go to battle with these guys and clean their ass out. I think he could I think he would double his fortune right here if he wanted to fight these guys, because what they're doing to him is completely illegal.
Now, remember Al Davis? The NFL, when it merged with the AFL, attempted to do the same stunt against Al Davis, and Al Davis cleaned their clock. He became the commissioner. Yep. It's just dumb. It really is dumb. and you should never listen to Magic Johnson give any type of civil advice because it's only by the court of law that he can call himself a husband in the first place. I'm just, if it was a moral contract. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And Ken, much respect to Magic Johnson. I have a lot of respect for him, but think about it. Back in his playing days, I grew up in his playing days, and, the guy did go from town to town to town and banging every woman he could. And the guy, this guy said this, and he got condemned for it. Well, he's just speaking the truth, and he's an old fogey, and he reminds me of listening to my grandfather talk when we were in the restaurant. I said, Grandpa, shut up. People can hear you. Because he's speaking his mind. He's speaking his mind, and this is what this old man's doing. He's speaking his mind. He ain't got a clue, what he's saying, and he has no idea that it's offensive to the general population today, especially the politically correct people today.
I just want to say one other thing. In regards to this particular matter, there are individuals who presume that this case is going to be based on the CNN interview with Anderson Cooper and a wiretap conversation. Okay, first and foremost, the wiretap conversation is going to be tossed.
Yep.
The Anderson Cooper interview doesn't have anything to do with the case at all. So the bottom line here is, what do you have going against this guy besides free speech? The court of law is where he will be silent and his attorney will speak for him. He never has to say a thing. The NBA clock.
Yep.
Mark my words on that one.
Exactly. If he decides to pursue it, he might not pursue it, but I have a feeling he might. He might pursue it. The man's rich, but he ain't got nothing else to lose.
Well, and I think he might pursue it just to try to save some sort of face, if you will, and maybe prove a point. I don't know. He's a smart business guy. Anyhow, he knows business fairly well, it would seem, and he may do it just to have that out there and to make the NBA. He may get his team back too if he does it right. So you never know what might actually happen.
If he doesn't do it, you darn Skippy better not be a Christian in the NBA and own a basketball team, because then you will be politically incorrect and you will be losing your franchise. Case closed.
Well, and let's move on from this to the two young students, Ken, that I was talking about. It's pretty much the same situation, is it not?
In regards to
the two young students that were suspended in Massachusetts for making racial comments outside of school, not on at all a school-sanctioned event or anything like that. It was their completely private Twitter, and it's one of those things where this is, and somebody's got feedback. I don't know who's on the air with feedback. Could be golf, but you can't sit here and tell me that these young students on their own private Twitter can be held accountable in school. Again, what they said was stupid, but that doesn't mean that they lose that right.
It's the unnecessary flex of the muscle by a state agency to condemn free speech. And in addition to that, to take away the future profitability of of a young person's economic outcomes by preventing them from ascertaining a college degree at most major universities. Certainly not Harvard and Yale will take them now.
Harvard.
So virtually this is an overreach by a state government, and it's the time period now where local individuals need to say, listen, as heinous as these voices were, they have the right to be heinous. They didn't yell fire. They didn't call it a terrorist attack in out of Ottawa. They were well within their reach of the First Amendment. And if we continue to allow government to take away and censor our right to speak, soon your internet will be taken, and then soon your free speech rights everywhere else will be taken. Everywhere, every place in the world will be a college campus.
And Ken, when you just said your internet will be taken, taken, every married man in the universe
will suffer.
Just heard that and sucked the seat cushion up into their rectal area because they just pictured their world without internet while the wife is away shopping for an hour or two.
Oh my
That's just a personal observation.
Oh, I can imagine them now having to look at pictures of Hillary Clinton 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I'm pretty sure with the suction that just went off worldwide, because we are listened to worldwide, that the Earth may have been knocked off its axis by like 1/8 of a degree. So climate change may, in fact,
look at those
be attributed to your statement, man.
Oh, petroleum jelly
and on the
cells.
phone, I actually on the phone real quick. I do have a married man who'd like to chime in on this. That's what we've been reduced to. That's what we've been reduced to. This poor guy. Sir, it'll be all right. It was just a suggestion. It's not really going to happen.
Yeah, it's humor, sir.
Get out from under the table.
Relax.
Get out from under the table. Poor guy.
Show.
That poor guy. It's hard. When you don't listen to us all the time, you may not get the humor here on the Sackheads radio show.
That guy was crushed.
Yeah, crushed. Absolutely crushed. Well, that's what happens. When the government goes too far, they crush you. They crush you every part of your life.
I know, and my dad should know better than that, because this is, he should listen to our show.
Right, at this point. But you know what? Sometimes you just get emotional, and that does happen. Hey, Ken, I also, we talked about young Miss Blair, Sarah Blair, in West Virginia. That is your neck of the woods. I would say that you're kind of a somebody who watches politics over there. What are your thoughts on her chances? Well, how well you know about it? I'm sure you picked up on it before we did. And what are your thoughts of her opponent?
Well, I'm looking for a virtual sweep out of West Virginia in terms of Republicans taking positions of authority there. It would be a first in almost 40 or 50 years, if you could go back even further than that. And she has a great chance. And many Republicans throughout West Virginia have a great chance. Capito won her race. She'll be facing Tenet. That's going to be a tough race, but the way things are polling, Capito looks like she's going to carry the spoils. You have Alex Mooney, who won his race. He was supported by the Senate Conservative Fund, and a litany of other individual stars that are basically West Virginia stars of the Republican Party. So I'm looking for success, strong success out of West Virginia, and that West Virginia will finally have 2 Republican senators going forward.
Well, and I have been noticing just recently. I've been noticing a lot of the Tea Party candidates or Tea Party backed candidates across the country are actually doing great. I mean, every story I'm reading, there are very few that aren't doing good.
Golf, I could ask a favor. When we have a segment set up for the last half an hour, and you scoop us like that by bringing up the Tea Party candidates winning, it hurts our feelings. I'm just saying, when we have a setup ready to go, and I don't know if you somehow figured it out or if you looked at our whiteboard and topics and all that stuff, but can you just do me a favor and just, come on, stop trying to show us up on our show, man.
No. I have no idea. I can't even figure out their chat. I can't figure out their chat room, and they're accusing me of stealing stuff.
Clint, can I speak to you for just a moment? Just to the side, sir.
And I'm muting, right?
I'm feeling racially offended because you're using a whiteboard.
There you go.
You know what, Ken? Just so you know, Sean uses a whiteboard. And what's funny was, like, when we're actually in the studio watching baseball, he's one of those that counts strikes and actually puts up the Ks. So when a starting pitcher gets 3 strikeouts, Sean actually has a whiteboard and has 3 Ks positioned over it until there is, in fact, a 4th K. It's a little embarrassing, in case people were to look in the windows or
Why do I do this?
Or come in.
Why?
Do you? You're the one that counts the Ks. It's not quite as bad if somebody within the first 3 strikes out looking because he actually puts it backwards. He's one of those. But just so you know, Ken, I actually use a blackboard.
Thank you, sir.
There you
Thank
go.
You.
Not only do I use a blackboard, but I use white chalk. So I actually have white on black.
You know what?
Clint,
You're going to get a
like
Lifetime Achievement Award for that. Clint, your Lifetime Achievement Award is in the mail.
I appreciate that. I try. Gulf, what'd you have, my man?
No, I'm just retracting my Tea Party statements. I'm just retracting all my Tea Party statements, and I digress. Go ahead.
So,
I would
Sean,
like to take this moment to thank everyone for joining us on the show tonight. It's lovely for you to listen around the world.
Hang on a second. What would the EPA do if we had a modern-day Tea Party, and when foreign oil tanker came into one of our ports, we dumped the oil overboard? I'm on to something huge here, folks.
Wow.
No takers? No one? Anyone? Oh, everybody's afraid of the big bad EPA.
Rain tax, baby, rain tax. Hey,
Play on, Tippy. Play on, Tippy.
Is that where Rooster's at right now? Because Rooster's not in the chat room. Has he got something going on with oil?
Yeah.
Where's
I don't know.
Look, I'm not saying he is. All I'm saying is there's a reason I brought that up. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I can't confirm or deny Rooster's location because I don't know, but that may have something to do with the oil party.
Don't want to bring any attention to him.
Yeah, no. Nope, and he's going to frack the hell out of it. This is ridiculous. So I know we're going to be up against a break here soon, but the Dems had a kind of a significant setback over the last day or so, between Conyers being kept off of a ballot, and in Florida, their candidate getting dropped out of the race. In a couple seats that they actually thought they had a good chance of taking in their bid to try and take over the House. I'd like to get with that on the other side of the break. We're going to break a couple minutes early.
Okay, we can do that. Gentlemen, you going to stay on the line and hang out with us?
Yeah.
I'll hang around.
Are you okay, Sean? Sean, are you okay? I was just saying, Sean.
Listen, I'm probably I'm going to be sad, and that's how it is. And
Sean, stop.
What? I can't help myself.
Sean,
it's too bad now. It's done. It's done.
We've been to NFL sensitivity training. You know what we're going through here. This is just the rough stuff.
Ken, Gulf, let me ask you guys a question. Do you think we could identify from genealogy and the lineage and identify the ancestors of the people who were responsible for the Boston Tea Party? And here's why I get at this. I think retroactively we can go after reparations, and retroactively we can also get them for EPA violations, because they did, in fact, litter in Boston Harbor, which is a major, major violation.
If you turn around and you go by Holder's theory that you can go back and release prisoners, even though they were convicted under one law, but now you can change that to meet your needs, then you can flip-flop that and say those EPA rules are retroactive.
Absolutely, yeah. No, this is.
We're onto something.
I think we're onto something.
Let's see if we can work out logistics on this. 347-205-9399. Back in a little over 3 here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying Kaplan is stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Hey, if you care about what's going on in the world, you cannot afford to miss my show. Hi, this is Andrea Kaye, your host of The Andrea Kaye Show. It's not always about the money. Okay, it is always about the money, but it's also about politics, pop culture, and you. The only thing street about this show is the smarts. There's a reason they call me Dynamite in a Dress, and you'll find out why when you listen Tuesday mornings at 10 on Financial News and Talk.
Hello, I'm Paul, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is my professor, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the separation of church and state.
America's founders believed in the separation of church and state, in that the country was not to have an official religion or an official sect. But that did not mean that government was to be hostile to religion, or even indifferent to religion, as many today argue. In fact, America's founding document, the Declaration of Independence, includes both a reference to God as the author of the laws of nature and a confident assertion that human beings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Far from being hostile or indifferent to religion, America's founders understood the theology of the Declaration to be an essential part of the education of citizens.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. As a native Bostonian, my heart broke on April 15, 2013, watching those horrendous attacks at the Boston Marathon. Now there's a way that you can help. Go to onefundboston.org, ONEFUNDBOSTON.org, where you can donate to help the victims and families from this awful attack. Onefundboston.org, all the proceeds will go directly to the victim's family. Thank you very much from Sackheads Radio.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
347-205-9399 is the phone number. On the phone with us here in the Sackheads studio is our good friend, the exceptional conservative Ken McClinton, and our friend Golf Dogs, who is joining us and hasn't called us in a real long time. We appreciate that. Before we went to the break, we were talking about suing, trying to get reparations from those that committed the Boston Tea Party Act, so that was important. We think we made some distance on that. Clint had an idea of some way we could try to bring that back, so that's something we're going to work on and we're going to expand on, because they should be made to pay. Their families now should be made to pay for the horrendous hacks. Do you know how many fish died of caffeine poisoning? At least 4 or 5. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
Wow.
Maybe. We don't know.
Can you imagine, though, all the hot tea we could get now with all the oceans warming and everything if we just dumped a bunch of tea? And then everyone who doesn't have something to drink would then have warm tea to drink in the winter. We're saving lives here on the Sackheads Radio Show, folks. We're just thinking outside the box. We're thinking outside the ozone layer.
You know, people drink tea in Boston? Like, do they have a Boston Tea Party?
Yes. I know a lot of people that drink tea from Boston.
Oh, there you go.
That number of 4 or 5 fish back then in 1776, by the day, that should be a 400 or 500 million fish that died as a result.
Right, because they could have bred. And who knows what horrific ecological effects that had.
And honestly, I mean, we may be talking treason here, because did those 4 or 5 fish potentially negatively impact the war effort?
Right.
Where our soldiers could have had those 4 or 5 fish to eat.
Yeah, this is we got to delve in. You know what?
Or were they, in fact, just brewing tea for the Tories because those Brit bastards love tea?
We should let's ask Eric Holder's office if they'll form a special probe for this. This needs to happen.
Eric Holder needs a special probe. Let's be real.
So before we went to...
Well, I did eat a fish the other day, and it caused me to stay up all night, so I don't know. It might be some kind of something going on there.
Caffeine fish, you never know. And you're awesome. So now we know the signs to what to watch for. You were talking about the Democrats taking a beating, not voting-wise, but a couple little issues that have popped up. And we also want to talk about, as Gulf may have broken in the last segment, a couple of Tea Party candidates that have made out well fairly recently.
Absolutely, and I want to get into that, but just real briefly. So John Conyers from Michigan, he failed to qualify for the primary ballot.
Did he not run the race fast enough? What did he not do?
I don't know.
Did he pull a hammy coming around the last turn, or
apparently he did? He
crashed into the wall.
Apparently he failed to get garner enough signatures to appear on the August 5th primary ballot.
Wow.
So that's kind of a big deal. I know that the Democrats are trying to make a push to retake the House. I really don't see that happening, and I think there's a really good chance they're going to lose the Senate as well. But that was kind of a big deal for them. They were really looking to that to maintain that seat. And then there was a candidate out of Florida. It was an independent, but he caucused with the Democrats, and he was really getting the big Democratic push. Just suddenly dropped out of the race. Ed Janney or Janey, I don't know, and I really don't care.
Just call him Jane.
But he was an independent. Again, he had huge Democratic support. He was running against David Jolly, who's the Republican representative from that area. The guy is a former Marine, former police officer, and he dropped out of the race. He had a bunch of support.
Well, I wonder if the Dems went to him and said, "Hey, you're splitting our Dem guy that we really want to put our money behind, so you need to get out of the way."
Yeah, there was a story that ran in the Tampa Bay Times that kind of called the veracity of his educational credentials into question.
Well, either way, it's worked itself out.
I wonder if Ken has any information on Clay Aiken. Well, what's up with Clay Aiken? I mean, come on, this guy, he's killing people. His contenders are just dropping out. You know, they're dropping dead.
They're being paid to. They're being paid to. They're being paid off. Listen, when something like that happens, when the left has a name who's famous, and they did it with Al Franken, zero political experience. He's really not anyone that you'd want.
That man is an American Idol.
But you have that name recognition where you know you can get votes just because of his name. And they said, we're grasping at straws. Let's face it, 2014, the Dems are going to grasp at straws every chance they get.
He's an idol, Sean.
He's a second place
you
idol.
You vote for an idol?
No. I have reasons. I don't want to listen to him sing through all of his press conferences. That's how that's right? Isn't that what he would do?
Isn't there something in the Bible about you shall not worship idols or vote for idols or something? So people nobody of any religious backing should vote for him, right? Because I'm pretty sure it's an affront to God.
He's a false idol.
Isn't it right? He's a false idol. I mean, he hasn't been the idol in a while, right?
I don't think he even won. I don't think he even won the show. I think he just he went off into oblivion, and he's coming back now as a candidate. Yeah, but Ken's got to have some scoop on this. I mean, he's in the know, there in D.C., so I don't know.
Well, I'll just say that this is definitely a way of telling Broadway and Hollywood that your career is over, that you're about to become second place in North Carolina. It's over, baby.
He's not going to win. He's not. No. From everything that I've read, he doesn't have a prayers chance. And listen, there's some comments the Twitters that he threw out during one of the RNCs. He threw out some really nasty tweets. And you know what? I don't think there's enough people in North Carolina that watch American Idol to get him elected. So
what
maybe L.A. Maybe if he went to L.A., he'd be okay.
Well,
enough people would vote for him for American Idol.
He will definitely have the sheep vote. I tell you that.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Plays out.
I don't think he has a chance. He lost. I mean, the guy that dropped dead, wasn't that his Democratic opponent? I think so.
Yes. Yeah, dropped dead of a heart attack.
So now yeah. So now Clay Aiken has no chance.
You know what? I have a great slogan for his opponent. Clay Aiken, second on Idol, second in North Carolina.
But here's what scares me, though, is I always bring up Al Sharpton, Franken. I don't know why I brought up Al Sharpton this time, maybe because Ken's on the phone. And I know if I say that name, he goes off the handle. I bring up Al Franken, and when people say, oh, he's a U.S. Senator and blah, blah, I said, yeah, this was the idiot who back in the 80s was on the Letterman show with the satellite radio with the tinfoil antennas on his head, or the satellite helmet with the tinfoil antennas. And he was always out in the middle of doing something stupid, and he was half a moron. And then he was known for being on SNL as Stuart Smalley. I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. Which, you know what, he didn't even use that as his campaign slogan.
Which I was
so mad at him for not doing it, because I'm like, you know what, you're a loser anyhow, and that's fine, and I think you're just a horrible politician, but at least go with your strengths. You know what I mean? Arnold went with I'll be back or something, you know. I mean, he went with something. You got to go that way.
So we like him the Clay Aiken thing, right? Second on Idol, second. And what's great is he's even running for the 2nd congressional district.
Oh.
I'm good at being second. Elect me.
I would say the biggest loser in all of
I don't
this
think anyone from that show is running.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, well, is Chris Christie, did he go on that show?
I don't know. Maybe Christie is. I don't know.
Is he trying to get on that show? And look, this is an unconfirmed report, folks. This is breaking news. We may have to try and confirm this, but according to our callers right here, and the biggest loser,
we may see Chris Christie.
We're going to have to try and verify this. Unconfirmed at this point.
Ken, thank you. Ken, thank you for that breaking news.
The biggest loser in all of the election news. I'm sorry. The biggest loser in all the election news is John Conyers. For all his efforts to dumb down the educational system in Michigan, he's going to pay a heavy price when it comes to writing in his name in November.
Well, that's what happens when people can't even sign their own names.
You have 4,000 X's.
Well, and it's funny.
Yeah, that was me. That's the hope of me.
UPI.com has an article on that, and I think it was Iggy that linked it to us. And he's essentially saying that some of the signatures he even had were questionable. So that, you know, that's kind of interesting to me. That it could be his own fault, his own undoing, because he allowed his voter populace to have a hard time being able to write their own names through his policies, his dumbing down of the voting system, the educational system. So they shot themselves in the foot again. So I don't know.
If only they had voter ID, they could have traced their name.
They could have proven that all of those names were legit. You know, it kind of goes back to Benghazi. It kind of goes back to a lot of other things. When the truth comes out, it will help you. Like we've said about the Dems, you would think that with Benghazi, they'd want the truth to come out, because that would, if they've done everything right like they said they have, they'd have nothing to worry about. Same thing with voting. If they've done everything right with voter IDs and they passed it, then any time that we've had false accusations of voter fraud, they could immediately disprove it. They could say, no, there is a district inside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania that had 100% voting for President Obama this time around. Not one person voted for anyone but the president. There is, you know, Conyers did make the 1,000 because some of the signatures were questionable. All of these things would go away if they just do the right thing.
Yeah.
Big question, guys. Big question. Okay, everybody, has been talking about Hillary. I want to get an answer from all of y'all. Do you think Hillary will run, one, and do you think she'll have any support from the Obama camp? Because I know Biden started attacking her this week. Take your take.
I think Hillary will run. I think she'll get. I don't know that she'll get a lot of support from the president, but I think she'll get some. And the reason I say that is she has really helped insulate them from the whole Benghazi thing. She didn't throw anybody down from the White House. She didn't throw the president under the bus about the Benghazi at all. She did not give Congress a lot of information, and because she kind of played ball on the whole Benghazi issue so far, I think she will get some support. I think the White House is going to be hard-pressed to really back Joe Biden. I mean, any candidate just has to string his list of hits together and then attach our Dare Joe Biden page, and that I don't know that the White House is going to back him hard. I think the White House is going to maybe soft back anybody. I don't think they'll really push too hard for anybody, and they don't have the political clout to do that right now. I mean, look how they're really not backing anybody in the 2014 cycle yet, and because a lot of their policies people don't like. I mean, the Democrats are looking to get their butts kicked coming up in 2014. I mean, they're really on the ropes between everything that's happening with and really playing defense on Obamacare, Benghazi. There's that new poll that came out that a good segment of Americans believe that the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton are misleading the American folks on Benghazi, or Obama and Clinton are seen as deceitful, and now his approval rating is really low. So I just don't see him really backing, throwing a lot of support behind anybody, but I think he'd back Hillary again because she played ball on the whole Benghazi thing.
I agree with that.
Ken, what's your take?
I'm of the opinion that Hillary will be so maligned by the Benghazi investigation in 2015 that it would make it very difficult for her to raise money and be seen as a foreign policy leader, which by that time period, under this administration, we should be going to war with Russia by the handling of everything there. And quite frankly, I think most of the people who are in the Democrat Party are sick of Hillary and sick of Obama, and they're looking for anything that will separate them from the worst years of foreign policy in the history of America.
Yep, I agree with that as well.
Yeah, but I agree also. But Ken, do you think Obama would kind of do a soft sell or a soft backing on Hillary?
Oh no! Oh hell no! He's going to throw her under the bus.
First and foremost, I don't see Hillary running. I've never seen her run. I don't know if she has the ability to run. Maybe she should start running. I don't know. She just doesn't look like a jogger to me. Second of all,
at all, there's a lot of things that move.
Second of all, Dan Butcher in the chat room threw it out there. And I agree with him. And I was going to say this is, it's going to be interesting to see where they all stand after Trey Gotti goes into Benghazi and starts to pull out, hopefully gets to the ability that he can pull out more information and more facts and really start spreading it around, and then watch them attack each other to great lengths. And they will. They will absolutely. They'll all start attacking the president. The president may take it to a point, just to, if he's going to play pure politics, or he's going to turn around and worry about his legacy.
But he's
an ego guy. He loves to have his ego straightened out.
He does.
So he may turn around and go rogue because, let's face it, the Dems haven't exactly been great to him the last year either. as far as trying to protect him or anything like that.
Well,
I mean,
I think they've been great at trying to protect him. Are you kidding me?
The party is he has certain people in certain situations. I'm talking about the party itself. After Obamacare, they all started stepping away from him. Even after Benghazi, they've just been silent, which is almost worse than saying something.
I disagree. I think they've been trying to back him a lot. The media's been doing a good job of it. You have certain Democrats in conservative areas that have kind of stepped away, but the party as a whole, and the media as a whole, they've been standing by his side big time. The other fact is there is nobody on the Democrat side of the House that can stand up to a Republican challenger like Hillary can. And so regardless of how that infighting happens or how that plays out, the Democratic Party, I believe, at this point, right now, at this stage in the game, Hillary is their best chance, even with Benghazi, even with her failed foreign policy as well.
I disagree with that. I do not think that the Democratic Party has a candidate they can put forward right now that it will be respected by anybody. I'm talking about the Democrats or the Republicans.
Because they have to put somebody forward. So who's the best one that they have to put forward? It's Hillary. Well, I mean, she may not be right overall.
We just heard in the chat room, or I saw in the chat room, Trey Gowdy, Hillary's worst nightmare. You damn right. Trey Gowdy has never lost a case in the history of his being a prosecutor. He's never lost anything. This guy goes for facts. The only thing they can do is kill him. That's all they can do is kill him, and then they got a chance. Okay? Now think about it. That's all they can do is get rid of him. One way he might have a heart attack tomorrow.
Go silent.
Yeah.
That's the only thing they can do.
I just want to say here that I want to say here that I must surrender to the greatest mind in this discussion so far, and that is Sackhead Sean. You're absolutely right, Sackhead Sean.
No, he's not. Which makes you wrong also.
I was trying to stand up for you. No, actually, Sean is correct. There, literally, she doesn't have what it takes to actually be a leader of note. And the Democrats are running away from Obamacare across the board. You may have some radicals like Nancy Pelosi, but if she were not in Congress, she would be in an asylum. The New York Times article this week, which basically states in the first line that the Obama administration, well, they didn't say it like that, but I'll paraphrase it, the Obama administration has failed on health care reform. It basically tells you that the Democrats have head for the hills and they're headed for the mountains. They're getting as far away from Obama because I believe they have some insight on what the Supreme Court's going to decide on whether he could have delayed the mandate, the employer mandate. And I think they know that the Supreme Court's going to decide that the employer mandate is part of the law, that he doesn't have the authority to act as a legislator and change that law, and thus 80 million people on July 1 will wake up knowing that they no longer have health care insurance and under their health care programs through their job.
I completely agree with your assessment on that. The question was, do you think Hillary Clinton will run, and will she be backed by the Democrats? And we can argue the different point of, hey, would she be effective, or is she good at foreign policy, or does she have what it takes to be president? And I believe no across the board on all of that. However, the fact is, do I think that she will run? And I said yes, and then I backed that up with I believe the Democrats will back her, the party will, and here's why. And I think the president will come out for her also, maybe not as hard as he should, but I think he will, because you still have 65% of Democratic primary voters that want Clinton to run. That is huge. The next person that comes in second is Joe Biden. He only has 10% of that vote. So you have 65% of Democratic voters that want
going
that want
to
run. That want her to run.
She's
so
not
you're saying
going
she's not going to run. Okay.
I do not think she's going to run.
I think it'll be very contingent on the Benghazi investigation. I think that if he starts really making some headway, she's going to bow out. And I know it's a tough one because she's going to be too old the next election, I think, in a lot of people's eyes to effectively run.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if the information that comes out that we all believe will probably come out, she's going to want to take that break and kind of let time heal the wound, if you will, in the Democratic Party's eyes. And it'll be a question as to whether or not she can keep the age in check for the next one. I agree. There may be a chance, depending on how this all goes, that she doesn't run.
There's a chance, but as it stands right now with the information that's out there, I think she's planning on a run.
That's why I think Biden is speaking out right now. That's why I think Biden is making his little comments out there.
Make his
I think
move.
he sees this. Yeah, I think he sees this. I think he sees Hillary is fallen. She's fallen and she can't get up. And I think that's what he's looking at.
She's vulnerable, but I don't think she's fallen yet.
No, but I think she will.
Let's just say she's wobbling.
When Trey Gowdy gets a hold of her, he's going to rip her apart. And I don't think she wants no part of what Trey Gowdy's got. And I think she'll try everything she can in her political power and what she's got behind her to get away from Trey Gowdy. Because I think Trey Gowdy.
She does have a lot.
Trey Gowdy's coming after her. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
but
the Clintons.
I think
people drop dead around the Clintons, so.
Will I be invited back on this program because I said Sean was right?
Yes.
No.
Because I'll change my answer if I have to.
I can mute him at any time.
Ken,
Don't worry about it.
Ken, I'm not talking to you right now.
Hey, real quick though, I think it'll be very telling as to where the administration goes with how or which way he's leaning and the administration's leaning on Hillary versus Joe. If they start really, really trying to protect Hillary going into this whole Trey Gowdy investigation, and he really starts hiding stuff through executive order, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that may be an indication on how they feel about that. Again, it's all going to be in time. I think if the information comes out that we think is going to come out, we all know is going to come out, I do not think that she will be able to run. I think it'll be too much, and I think it's going to be one of those things that her ego let her get caught up into it. And instead of being honest from the truth, and listen, you know what? If she went out the next day and defied the White House and said, no, this is the right thing to do, we need to tell people the truth, I think she'd be hands down, when all this was said and done, she would probably be the Democratic nomination just on that alone.
But you know what? The Clintons are no stranger to controversy.
Nope, not at all.
They're no stranger to congressional inquiries,
absolutely,
investigations, or impeachment.
And Bill's already going out there, and he's trumping for her.
He absolutely is. And the Clintons are a huge...
Because Monica still has the key.
And Clintons are a huge political power. She's not out. And right now, she's planning on running. And do I believe Trey Gowdy is going to do an excellent job chairing the committee? I absolutely do.
Yes.
Do I believe his focus is Hillary? I believe that's a focus. But when he says that I want to get to the truth,
it has to be his focus. She's a major part of it.
She's a major part, but she's not the only part.
No.
So when he says that the evidence he's looking at, the evidence will take him to the truth, he's looking at all directions. He's not focusing specifically on Hillary alone.
Mm-hmm.
So is it survivable for Clinton? Look, if she has a major role in Benghazi and that's what comes out, then, yeah, she's going to be damaged. But who else do the Democrats have?
I'll say this. Trey Gowdy already knows the truth, pretty much like we all do. I got a feeling he's just looking to seek and bring it out to the public. I really believe he already knows the answer.
Agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
So let's bring the elephant out of the room then. So who is the primary target? Is it President Obama himself? Because I believe that he was involved and had knowledge.
I do.
Which makes him the bigger story than Hillary Clinton, who was acting at the orders of the president, and now she can say, well, yeah, I resigned my post because I didn't want to take on ethical
because
orders.
she was actively involved in choosing not to provide the subsidies necessary to fix up that particular edifice.
I agree the spin. I agree the spin, Ken, but she's going to spin it the other way and say, well, this is why I stepped down, because I believe it was unethical, because these things were going on. I was in a position to where I had to do X, Y, and Z or whatever.
I understand that, but here's the other point.
Have you ever worked for a corporation? Have you ever been somebody big, somebody that
I've
made
been a
the
chairman
calls?
of a corporation.
Okay, if you're, it all comes from the top. Real simple. It all comes from the top. So yes, it came from Obama, and Hillary was complacent. She was right there with him. But it always comes from the top. Whenever you get somebody that's corrupt, I'm talking about, look at a little construction company. If you get a construction company and all your workers are a bunch of lazy ass idiots, well, why are they that? Because the guy at the top is not in charge. He's not doing his job like he should do. And this is what we got going on. The guy in charge at the top is not doing his job. He's playing cards with Reggie.
Yep.
Am I right,
and that's
Ken?
my point. But that's my point. So if it starts at the top and that's the major problem, is that going to be the focus of the investigation? And then it gives Hillary some wiggle room to to spin and maneuver. She's not going to go quietly.
She doesn't have wiggle room because she is the number one person who deals with foreign affairs as Secretary of State. She would have had to have signed off on the sending of military weapons from that particular place to Turkey to Syria. This is bigger than just the Benghazi thing.
But she has wiggle room to spin because she is not the top person. I'm not saying she's not complicit. I'm saying she has wiggle room to spin her message how she sees fit because she is not the number one.
Well, what happens with the guy from the top? With the guy from the top, if when he's going to protect himself, he always lets somebody below him take the fall. Hillary's going to take the fall for Obama.
But that's why that Gowdy's there to get
we're going to see. We're going to see because we're out of time for this week, folks.
Thank you guys very much for the call. It was a good debate.
It was awesome.
It was very good.
We love having you guys on, and please join us again. Ken from the Exceptional Conservative Show, our good friend Golf Dogs. Thank you so much for being with us this evening, gentlemen.
Sean?
Sir, we'll see you next Wednesday.
It has been a pleasure.
8 p.m. here on the Sackheads Radio.
We're going to have to tag this show that somebody thought you were right.
I know, for once. SHRmedia.com. Check us out. We'll talk to you soon.
SHRmedia.com.